All right. So, after that very long-winded introduction, like I said, I'm Coach Alisha, and today we're going to be diving into supplements for hormone support after 35. What works, what doesn't, and most importantly, how to use them safely. Now, I will start off with just a quick disclaimer. I am not a medical doctor, so please do not use this as like medical advice. These are suggestions on things that can help. If you are on any type of medication already, always consult with your doctor ahead of time before adding anything else in. Everything that we're going to talk about is all natural, but if you do have concerns, you want to make sure you check out with your doctor too. And the last disclaimer that I will put is supplements are wonderful and they are meant to do exactly what they say, supplement. We need to make sure that we still have really adequate nutrition and a really good exercise routine as well, on top of being able to take all of these supplements. They're not a magic fix. They will help you in many, many ways, but we also have to set the foundation for them to be able to help you with. So as we get into this, the first thing I want to talk to you about is what your main hormones actually do and why they change kind of in perimenopause, menopause, and post-menopause. I know we have all ranges of the spectrum here in Momentum Mastery. So I just want to talk a little bit about what those do. So then it will be crystal clear as to why certain supplements can help so much with things. Now, most women already know that they have estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, insulin, et cetera, et cetera. But oftentimes we may not know what each one does. So let's do just a kind of like a really quick run through of things. Estrogen is kind of the queen bee hormone. That's just it, the queen bee, best way to describe it. The main things that it does is it really helps keeps our bones strong, our skin plump, our mood steady, heart healthy, metabolism firing, all of that good stuff. In perimenopause, our estrogen spikes and crashes. That's where we get these hot flashes, mood swings, heavy periods, kind of just like what is happening to my body. Once we get into menopause, our estrogen plummets. So dryness, bone loss risk, we always are talking about osteoporosis and osteopenia here in this program, that stubborn midsection fat, or like I hear a lot of my clients just talk about like all of my weight's going to my belly, or I'm losing weight everywhere, but my belly's just not going anywhere. Post-menopause, estrogen stays pretty low. The long-term effects on heart, bones, and mood can become more noticeable there. And again, there's no, as we go through this, there's no kind of like, all right, it's day 4 of perimenopause, my estrogen's going to crash a lot of time, or going to spike a lot of time. These things are just like over a course of time. Progesterone, which we kind of refer to as sort of like the calm and the sleep hormone. It really eases anxiety, promotes restful sleep, and it kind of balances out estrogen. In perimenopause, this drops first. So you get that insomnia, irritability, kind of anxious energy. Also, too, if you were pregnant, in your younger years, this was probably a first sign sort of that you were pregnant. You had that insomnia, that like anxious energy, that irritability all throughout your first trimester. You did hear me mention testosterone, and thankfully this is getting a little bit more, notoriety with female. It's not just for men. Women do have testosterone just like men have estrogen as well. This really helps maintain muscle strength, metabolism, confidence, and libido. This will decline gradually. You'll kind of feel fatigued, loss of muscle tone, lower sex drive, lower energy, kind of all those things. You're just like, as the years kind of go by, you're like, oh, what happened? I used to be so frisky and now I got nothing here. Or you just notice that like your hair is falling out, or you're like, why, like what happened to all my muscle mass? This is typically because of the testosterone starting to decrease. The one I probably don't need to go into full detail in is cortisol. We are all familiar with cortisol, the stress hormone. So high cortisol, belly fat storage, poor sleep, blood sugar spikes. Menopause stress and life stress is just like a double whammy on hormones. Think about the things that are going on in your life right now whilst trying to kind of navigate menopause. And it's like that cortisol is just like skyrocketed right now. Also can explain really why you have a lot of maybe stubborn issues that you can't just seem to overcome for some reason. The last one that we'll talk about is insulin, and this is our blood sugar regulator. Any of you that have any type of diabetes are probably like pros at insulin. But one of the things to know is that as estrogen declines, insulin sensitivity worsens. Weight gain, even if calories stay the same. I talked about this a little bit on my last live video, but it's like, you're like, I'm doing all of the same things that I did when I was younger, and I don't understand like why I'm just like gaining weight, and I'm just like, I feel fluffy, and et cetera, et cetera. A lot of that deals with your insulin levels because, as I said, insulin sensitivity tends to worsen through menopause. So the quick little thing for this is like perimenopause is like your hormonal roller coaster. You almost kind of feel like you're going through puberty again, but like in the reverse. It's just like every day you wake up and it's like, all right, what's it going to be today? When you're in menopause, it's that sudden drop. It's like, boom, what just happened? And then post-menopause is low, but just like a steady baseline. The good news is like I said, supplements can really help your body adapt, reduce symptoms, and help you feel like yourself again. There is one of probably like the most beautiful things right now is that there is so much talk about perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause out in social media right now. People who are experts. I mean, we've got some of the top people even in this program being able to talk about kind of what is happening to our body and what we can go through. So no longer do we have to feel like this is just something we have to go through and just deal with, and there's no kind of, bright spot anywhere. A lot of research now is showing us, all right, these supplements can help. This type of eating can help. This type of, HRT can help, or anything like that. So hopefully my goal is for you to kind of take away from this, like, these are a couple things. If I'm noticing X is happening, I can take Y, and hopefully I'll have a better outcome. So when you're looking for supplements, if you've ever gone into any type of drugstore, any type of like CVS, Walgreens, even just like a grocery store, you just see rows and rows and rows of supplements. And you're just like, I don't know what to pick. That is totally understandable. One of the downsides of supplements is that it's not a very highly regulated market. So you look at a supplement thing and on the back of it, it's going to say this is not regulated by the FDA because it's true. It's not regulated. So you want to really make sure you do your due diligence and find a supplement that has quality ingredients, the right dosage, and no hidden fillers. Those are probably the three biggest things to look for. For instance, something with like protein powder that I talk to clients a lot about. They'll be like, oh, I found this protein powder and it's great. And I'm like, cool, show me the nutrition label. And, it's like a big bag. And they're like, I spent $50 on this or something like that. And I'm like, well, just so you know, you have to take 3 scoops of this protein powder to get an adequate amount of protein. So, that adds up. That's a lot. So making sure that you're looking at the dosing for the supplements too. Nobody wants to sit there and be like, all right, I got to take 9 of these, turmeric pills or whatever. That's not feasible. So make sure you're looking at all of this. The other thing in your supplements you want to look for is support for inflammation, sleep, stress, metabolism, and mood. Those are going to be the biggest things for you. You want to make sure that there's clinical backing or well-studied ingredients when possible. Yes, we're not all, biology experts or anything like that, but you should at least like look at something and be like, oh, I have heard of ashwagandha. I have heard of turmeric. I have heard of cayenne pepper or whatever. And then, like I said, when we first started, always check meds, conditions, recommended doses, things like that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about our Sculpt Nation supplements, because we do have a lot that are really great for exactly this topic. And then I'll give you just some other extra sort of generic supplements that can help you as well too. The first one that I usually suggest to clients is our Turmeric Black. And that's because turmeric contains this really powerful anti-inflammatory compound. As estrogen drops, inflammation naturally rises. Joints ache, belly fat stores more easily, recovery slows, all of that. you probably actually noticed this when you still had a regular cycle, that sometimes throughout your cycle, you're just like, man, I feel really bloated. I feel very tired. My joints hurt. What is going on? So turmeric black uses this anti-inflammatory compound to really help with the metabolic slowdowns that happen after 35. So like I said, it's going to help with inflammation reduction, which means less joint pain and better recovery, metabolic health, which means easier weight management overall, and insulin sensitivity. As I spoke about before, that's one of like the big things that happen when you get really into all of these hormones just going crazy. The next one that I would talk about, or actually, sorry, with the turmeric too, you want to take that daily with food. All of these supplements that we're going to talk about are absolutely wonderful, but only if you remember to take them. You're not going to see a ton of benefit if it's like you take them once every like 4 or 5 days. You need to get it into your system on a regular, consistent basis. The next one I'll talk about is our 2 burn supplements. We have our Burn Evolved and our Burn PM. So as you've probably heard ad nauseum, metabolism slows after 35, partially due to lower estrogen, progesterone, thyroid activity, all that good stuff. Our Burn Evolved is going to use a certain type of mild thermogenic that's going to help burn slightly more calories for you. It will also help stabilize your blood sugar, which can reduce carb cravings because you're just more level throughout. Most of those carb cravings come because our blood sugar is like a roller coaster. It's going up and down. And when you get that crash, you're like, oh, give me ice cream or something. This can help stabilize your blood sugar. And also it has this really great thing. It's called GS4+, which helps manage carbs, which means less fat storage as well. It's all natural caffeine, smooth energy release, not a big, huge crash. So the 3 things that it mainly works on here for you is metabolism, appetite control, and energy, which honestly, those sound like 3 wonderful things that all of us could work on. We'll say like co-partner to the Burn Evolved is the Burn PM. As we know, poor sleep equals higher cortisol, worse cravings, belly fat storage, inability to recover, mood swings. I mean, like you name it. Burn PM uses ingredients like melatonin and certain herbal relaxants to help improve sleep quality. I tell all of my clients the minute that you can fix your sleep, you're going to see drastic changes in your body. So what does Burn PM actually do? It helps lower your cortisol, which again, we talked about in the beginning, that is just like something that everybody really needs. So you lower your cortisol as a better hormonal profile going forward anyways. It improves your sleep. When you improve your sleep, it helps regulate your hunger, your cravings, and your energy. Think about the last time that you got a really bad night's sleep, which like for me was like last night. But you wake up and you're like, I don't really want to eat this like, really nice oatmeal and eggs and berries and beautiful thing. I want like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich or something. And that's just because our body is just craving those dopamine hits from food because we didn't get enough sleep. Now, when you pair Burn PM with a healthy lifestyle, it will help with some nighttime fat metabolism. Mainly think that as your body is sleeping, it's not having to worry about regulating your hormones so much, which means it can have more time and energy to work on decreasing your body fat overall. It's not going to, when we get poor sleep or we don't focus in on our sleep, our body's not going to want to get rid of fat because fat is very protective of us. So it's like, my body is all crazy right now. Why would I want to get rid of the thing that's supposed to protect me? So take that in the evening only. Evening only. It's a sleep supplement, so make sure it's the evening only, about 30 minutes before bed. I will also put the disclaimer that if you are somebody who is sensitive to melatonin, you might want to start with half a dose of that. The next one that I will talk about is our Multi-Collagen. Now, collagen, again, also all the rave. You can find it in anything and everything, pretty much. Most people know that, collagen is important and they need it in their body. They may not know why, but it's really because estrogen helps maintain collagen production. So as your estrogen drops, your skin thins, joints ache, connective tissues weaken, all of those good things. Something like, again, many of you are probably experiencing this, and that's what drew you to this program to begin with. Supplementing collagen is really going to help provide the building blocks, we'll call it, for skin, tendons, ligaments, and joints. So what does it support? Like I said, skin elasticity, fewer visible aging effects. So you don't have, it's going to help it so you don't get that kind of like paper thin skin. You know, I remember like my grandmother, I would give her a hug. I'm like, what? Your like skin feels like paper. And that's because she didn't have enough collagen. It's going to help your joint health. Combining, collagen with really good movement practices is really going to help keep that synovial fluid that's in our joints nice and flowing, which overall will help reduce stiffness. And then it just helps with your muscle recovery. Pairs really well with strength training for active women. When you're strength training, you are putting stressors on your tendons, ligaments, and joints. It's a good stressor. We need those stressors, but we also should take something to kind of help support the recovery from that. I tell people grab a unflavored one, because then you can just take it at any time. You can like throw it in a smoothie, throw it in your coffee, throw it in some other drink that you're having, or grab a flavored one if you just need something to break up the monotony of water throughout the day. The last one that I'll talk about from Sculpt Nation, which really you can find this at any place, is creatine. So creatine, one of the most researched supplements that is out there. I tell every single person that I know to go on creatine. And it's really because it helps, not only does it help with recoverability, it helps with kind of your like pulling water into your muscles, so your muscles just recover better, like they feel fuller longer. But a lot of the new research coming out talks about how it has a cognitive benefit. You get a bad night's sleep, take some creatine, it's going to help you focus a little bit more. Also has just lost my train of thought. So the cognitive benefit, it's also going to help with kind of blood sugar regulation, because it's helping you have more lean muscle mass, which the more lean muscle mass you have, the better blood sugar regulation you have as well too. And again, it's one of those things that you can get it unflavored, so you can add it to anything that you want. The best way to kind of approach a lot of these supplementation things is, what can I add to something that I'm already doing? Because then you don't have, you've taken out that barrier for it. So those are all the things from Sculpt Nation directly that I would suggest. And I will drop a discount link in the chat for you as well too. So if you're interested in trying any of these, you can click on that link and be able to get 25% off of the supplements from Sculpt Nation. Now, on top of that, like I said, there are a lot of generic sort of must-haves that I would suggest as well for supplementation. One is going to be just your standard typical omega-3s. Reduces inflammation, supports brain health, possibly can help ease some hot flashes. There's a little bit of research out there talking about that, but this is like your basic fish oils. If you're looking for a good fish oil one, make sure it's one. Some of them have like burpless ones, which seems really weird, but like the fish oil burp smell, it's terrible. But you want to look for one that's a really solid amount of omega-3s. Probably some of your parents or stuff used to make you do like cod liver oil supplementation. That's a really great thing to do for omega-3s. Anything that's really going to help reduce inflammation as we get older is the best. The next one I would say that's a generic must-have would be magnesium. Pretty much most of the population is deficient in magnesium. There's not just one kind of magnesium. There's about, I think it's 7 different kinds of magnesium. But really, if you're looking at, magnesium glycinate or threonate, it calms the nervous system, improves sleep quality, and helps reduce PMS, perimenopause anxiety. Again, this is something that's super simple. You can get it in powder form. I love magnesium glycinate to help me sleep at night, especially if you're somebody that's sensitive to melatonin. This is a really great option to have as in replacement of that. But magnesium just helps all aspects of your body. Also, vitamin D3. So as we know, vitamin D really helps with bone health, immune support, mood stability, all of those things. Low levels are very common post-menopause. Also, too, unfortunately, we just don't get outside as much as like generations before us do. So we're really not getting a lot of that beautiful vitamin D from the sun. So we should try to supplement a little bit there. Combining vitamin D with a really solid strength training program is really setting you up for success to fight against osteoporosis or osteopenia. Next one I will talk about is adaptogens. You know, things like ashwagandha, Rhodiola, things like that. It really helps to regulate cortisol, improve stress resilience, kind of help with fatigue. All of those things are, again, all of those things are things that once you can get to the surface basis of, you know, what's causing cortisol spikes or causing increased stress in our life, your body is going to react in a very positive way. So if taking some of those adaptogens helps with that, by all means, you know, let's regulate that cortisol as best we can. The last one I'll talk about really is kind of probiotics. Everybody knows this. Our gut health is extremely important. It really influences your estrogen metabolism, your immune health, and even your mood. You know, our food, unfortunately, is not as nutritious as it was even 40 or 50 years ago. So a lot of us may have digestibility issues with certain foods. Taking a probiotic can really help increase that gut health for you. Now, I listed off just a ton of different supplements here, which I can also put this in the chat as well, too, if you like. One thing that you want to do is kind of start slowly with supplements. Start maybe with one at a time, kind of track how you feel, identify any side effects, and then kind of make the decision if this is something that you want to continue with. Probably the most important thing is you really want to align supplement timing with your lifestyle. You know, I am all about removing as many barriers as possible in order to help make your life just better overall. So things like, you know, yeah, maybe the unflavored collagen or the unflavored creatine is a little, you know, another $1 more expensive. But if you can just throw that into something that you're already doing every single day, the likelihood of you being able to keep up with taking it increases drastically. And of course, we always with supplementation want to pair with foundational things. We got to get that adequate protein. We got to have really good macronutrients and micronutrients. We got to have movement, sleep, stress reduction, all of that stuff. You know, again, as I said when I first started, supplements are here to supplement exactly that. They're not going to take the replacement of really good protein intake, really good movement, really good sleep. But what they can do is sort of get you to a point where those other three things I just mentioned are almost second nature and are really having very positive effects in our body. So let's do a quick little kind of common scenario. Say that you're out there, we'll say 42, you're perimenopause, you got some hot flashes, some mood swings, low energy, a lot of trouble sleeping, all these things that you probably you're just like, I just know this is just perimenopause. I would suggest starting with some Turmeric Black, some Magnesium, and maybe burn PM. Maybe start with a low dose adaptogen too, kind of help with some of that stress that you may be having, which is causing you trouble sleeping. Check your diet and then reduce your sugar spikes. That would be a great way to start off with. And then maybe you're somebody that's a little bit older, say you're 52 and you're post-menopause, insulin resistance, and stubborn belly fat. Maybe you do some really good strength training, but you almost kind of feel a little plateaued a bit. You know, I would, if you were my client, I would suggest, all right, let's start with some Burn Evolved, you know, our morning burn supplement, some Turmeric Black, maybe throw in some omega-3s and some creatine, help get you over that strength training plateau, and then also kind of get you to build more muscle so that we can be a little bit more insulin resistance. And then also, again, we look at our diet and our sleep to see if we can fix any of those to kind of make our blood sugar just feel more happy at all. With all of that, like I said, consistency is always going to be key. So both of those two like kind of avatars that I talked about are great, but if you're only going to take them, you know, once every 3 or 4 weeks, we're not really going to see any results. A lot of times these supplements take about 4 weeks or so before you really start to feel good changes. And it's, you know, it's just like with your exercise and nutrition journey. You know, you eat one meal that's got a lot of protein in it, you're not necessarily going to feel the positive effects of that right away, but you eat 10 or 12 meals with really good adequate protein in it, you're going to start feeling the effects of it. Same thing with the gym. You go to the gym one time, yeah, you're going to feel good, but you're not going to see the physical changes of it. You go to the gym 12 times, you're going to start seeing some physical changes. So consistency is always, always, always going to be the number one priority there. Your supplements will always work best with good nutrition, strength training, stress management, and sleep. So use them to help with that instead of using supplements to kind of mask all of those things. So as we kind of wrap it up here, kind of wherever you are in your menopausal journey, if you're peri, post, in the thick of it, or whatever, there are lots of supplementations that can help you. If you're dealing with those hot flashes and anxiety and fatigue, start with Turmeric Black, some Magnesium, some Burn PM. If you're in menopause, post-menopause, and you're just dealing with that really stubborn weight gain and joint stiffness, some Burn Evolved, some Turmeric Black, some vitamin D, or just get out in the sun more, and some